Hey, what's up, people? Really quick video. I just want to talk about why I think a lot of people get stuck in their hobbies and a really easy fix. Preparation is not practice. Now, what I mean by this is that if you're preparing something, you're consuming content and all that, that's great, but it's not practicing at all. And once you can make this difference or separate this idea, you'll actually get a lot more results because now you know how to move forward. So I'm going to tell you what I do with this. I specifically have days where I only do preparation. You can have a full day where you do it. You can have certain parts of the day, maybe the first 30 minutes of your session, you're getting some sort of videos or whatever together, and then the other 30 minutes or hour or so, you're doing something. Just split it however you think you need to. Now, preparation days are not off days. Off days are completely off. You're not really caring about what you're doing. Definitely take off days. Preparation days, I typically do on Mondays because it's just an easier way for me to kind of schedule out my Tuesday through Saturday. And so I'll collect things that I need or review what I have and see if I still need it. And again, I still recommend, like I said in the Teach Yourself Anything Part 1 video, I recommend you put these into Notion or Google Docs or something where you don't have to look at the YouTube homepage. So I'll collect or review what I have, and then throughout the week, I know I can just execute based off those. Okay, now I'm gonna answer some questions that I got in the Discord. I have a Q&A section in my Discord. If you wanna ask something, just make a thread there and then ask your questions, and I can make videos based on that. So the first one is, assuming you had a completely free day, how much time would you spend on a single group 1 activity on average? What about on all of them combined? Same question for group 2 activities. So with group 1 and group 2 activities, this is based on my video about having too many interests and not enough time, and how you should have a non-negotiable category and then a category of, like, if you have time, you'll get to it. I'll be honest, in my experience, on a completely free day, I have a schedule that I usually like to do, but it almost never goes according to that schedule. So we'll take 4 things, for example: guitar, piano, language 1, and language 2. That's typically how my day looks if I'm completely free. I tell myself I'm gonna work on these for 8 hours today because it's fun. It's like an 8-hour work day in a sense, except I enjoy it. And so that means 2 hours for each. That's my plan. What usually happens is I will do one and accidentally get caught up for like 5 hours in that thing. And I'm totally okay with that. But when I do that, I try to divide the other 3 into the remaining 3 hours or so. But also keep in mind, this tends to happen again with the other thing that I do, and it just is what it is. However, the next time I do have a completely free day, I pick something that I didn't do the other day. So say I had 5 hours of Japanese practice that day that was supposed to be 2. And my piano and language 1 and 2 just don't really get enough attention. The next time I have a completely free day, I'll start with piano, or I'll start with one of those languages. And that may accidentally turn into 5, 6 hours of practice, and so on. And I just kind of cycle it through. Now with this, I don't overthink it. Sometimes I'm in a phase in life where I really want to improve at guitar. So that's all I'm doing. And I maybe only play an hour piano a day, if that. But I'm really locked in on guitar. If that's a natural process for you, or you find that that's just what you're gravitating to, I would say go with that. The same pretty much goes for my group 2 activities. These are things that if I have time, I can do it, or like the most likely will do it category. And to me, if these are that important, I would probably be moving it to group 1 activities. So I also don't overthink it. Overall, what I've learned through years and years of trying to overschedule these things and trying to make sure I equalize all my time and all that, I've learned that as long as I'm not completely wasting my time doing some nonsense, I have a lot of fun in my life with these things. So maybe for 6 months straight, I'm just playing way more guitar than piano. Yes, I'm not making much progress on my piano, but that's not a bad thing because I'm making a ton of progress on guitar. I'm not doom scrolling all day and just letting my life pass by. I know people with a bunch of hobbies tend to stress out about which ones are not getting enough attention and all that, but you have to learn to not see it like that. It's more so am I doing something? If you're doing something, making progress in some area, that's great. And that's really all you need to do. If you continuously let yourself get stressed out by how much things are not getting enough attention and trying to equalize everything, it's just gonna ruin your experience. At least that was the case for me. I spent years trying to equalize everything and make sure I do everything right. And so at this point in my life, like I said, I have a plan that typically doesn't go according to plan, and I'm totally okay with that. Even today, after I record this video, I'm gonna edit it, and then I wanna play 1 hour of each thing, or I wanna do 1 hour of each thing. That's 4 hours, guitar, piano, language one, language two. I already know that's not gonna happen, but that's my plan. And I'm totally okay with that. Okay, the next question. You mentioned that you learned engineering slash programming for fun and then made a business. How do you deal with having that hobby become, at least partially, a job? Or in other words, how do you deal with hobbies going from want to should, or being both at the same time? Really good question. I think sometimes people have a bad, I guess, relationship with the word obligation. And so for me, I don't see it that way. I more so see it as an opportunity. And even with my hobbies, things I don't get paid for, there are days where I'm still obligated to practice because I know that's what my true self would want to do. And I'm not trying to sound over the top with that, but that's what the real me would want to do. And I really treat anything that makes me money the same way. I also think about what else I could be doing, you know? There's people out there working at McDonald's who wish they could be doing their hobby as a job. Unless that's their hobby, is to work at McDonald's, which it's probably not. But you know what I'm saying? That is what I think about. I remember when I was in the military, I liked the grind and the hustle of what I used to do. I'm not sure if I can say what I used to do. I don't need Uncle Sam in the comments section, but the pace and hours were so high, astronomically high, that now in life, I get to make videos, I get to make software and all that, even though I like it and I get paid for it, so I have obligation to do it. I at no point am complaining that this is something I have to do, because I know what I used to do. Again, I probably can't get into that stuff, but I always remember where I was. You can either think about where you were in life at some point. Maybe you were working a job you didn't want to do, or you had some thing that you did that you just dreaded to do every day. Or you can think about other people's experiences. I'm not saying compare yourself and say you're better than them, but you can think about, you could be working at McDonald's, or you could be, out doing construction or something in the sun and it's hot and you're sweating and all that. So really, I guess a roundabout way is to say gratitude, be grateful about it. I know that sounds a little over the top for some people, but for me, it's a tremendous help. There are days, and I'm gonna be honest, there are days where I don't want to log into VS Code. And even though I'm phasing out of software a bit, there are days where I don't want to do something that I know is going to make me money. But I'm immediately grateful that I can do that. Because again, I remember what life used to be like, where I was sleeping 4 hours a day in the military, on deployments, in and out of Japan and other Southeast Asian countries, Russia, all that stuff. And just, there was no time to do basically anything else. So I'm extremely grateful for what I can do now. If there's more you want me to go into on that question, because I don't know if that really answers it, that's just kind of my experience, you could just let me know and I can maybe talk more in detail about something. But next question. A common trait for most of us here is having many things we want to get into. How do you decide which one to prioritize? What will seem the most fun? What will be the easiest to commit to long term? What will be the most useful? What strokes the ego the most? I still keep the same answer that I said in my Too Many Interests Part 1 video, the one that most people are here from anyways, where it's not in an ego sense, what do you want to be known for, but if someone were to talk to you and like you had to express to them your life and all that, what would that be? For me, it's music. I like guitar and piano, and so that's like the main thing I'm doing. That's always going to be in my non-negotiable list. And yes, in a vanity sense, it is saying I want people to know I'm a good guitar and piano player. But at the same time, it can open up opportunities, it can open up conversation, it can open up business, it can open up a lot of things by me being that. So why not be that? A good way to find this out is to stop doing everything for a little bit, not like all day, but just a couple hours, or throughout the day, pay attention to the dead zones in your day and think about what you're thinking about. Are you thinking about music? Are you thinking about art? Are you thinking about painting or software or whatever you want to be into, or learning a language or something? Whatever you're thinking about the most when you're not distracted is probably what you want to do. As far as difficulty, I'm looking at the question now. As far as difficulty, like what's the easiest commit to long term? I don't really think about that because difficulty to me is just time and repetition. So something may be difficult on paper, but that's only because it requires more time and repetition. Japanese, for example, was the first language I learned outside of English. And most people said I was crazy trying to learn a super difficult language. But to me, it's not difficult. It just requires more time and repetition, which is simple. And the more fluent I get, I realize it's actually a pretty simple language. You just have to get the reps in, really. And as far as the vanity aspect again, I would say replace vanity with opportunity, because I do think there is a vain sense in all of us that we want to be known for something and all that. And I think that's totally okay personally. I think anyone pretending that they don't have a little bit of vanity is just lying to themselves. But see it as opportunity. Playing guitar for me gives me opportunity. Being fit gives me opportunities. Knowing software gives me opportunities. And opportunities leads to a more enriching life. So see it as what you want more opportunities in. But again, I can answer more about that if you guys want to. Next question. Did you ever deal with thoughts like, I'm not doing the right thing, I should be doing XYZ other hobby instead? If so, how do you deal with that? This is a just deal with it type of thing in my experience. There's no cure to it, at least for me. But once you get good at one thing, like really, really good, I notice a lot of those other thoughts tend to fizzle away. This was something that I had issues with, that thought of what if I should be doing something else. I had that issue when I wasn't really adept at something, or like advanced, or even like super expert at something. But now that I have that in, I would say, two areas, the other thoughts tend to go away because I always have home base in a sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but like for me, I can cut on an anime and just watch it without subtitles and all that. But I have so many years of advanced practice and repetition and all that that it's one of the home bases for me. Same with guitar. I can make music, I can play, I can improvise a little bit. I still need a lot of work in that area, but I'm getting there. But I have a really strong base to where when I'm doing it, I can get so caught up into it that I'm not really able to think about much else. And so I like to think of it in the same sense of how to not care what people think. I think it's the same solution. The solution is not to not care about what people think. It's actually just to think about what you're doing a lot more. So if I'm playing guitar and I'm worried about not getting enough piano practice or not studying enough Japanese or Spanish, I need to just focus more on what I'm practicing on guitar. And then those thoughts will naturally fizzle away. But yes, I did deal with those thoughts. I still do here and there, but it's all right. It's just one of those necessary evils that you have to deal with over time. But it gets a lot easier when you're advanced. And the last question here, how do you prevent perfectionism from creeping up into hobbies? How do you prevent scope creep, where goals get bigger and bigger until they're impossible to reach in a timely manner? For me, it's all about enjoying the process. And I know this is like a corny, silly quote that people always like to say. You really do need to enjoy the journey, though. I have a really good, and I don't know how to say it. I have an obsession with the learning process of it rather than the end goal. And so for me, I noticed that this naturally gives me the results of someone who wants the end goal, but I could care less. Just like with Japanese, I always say that I don't like the word fluency because it makes me feel like I'm finished. I like learning Japanese. And yes, I know a whole lot. I can pretty much listen to anything and track it for the most part and speak about most things quite smoothly. But I'm never done. I literally still enjoy finding new vocabulary words, new grammar things that I can't really say that well, and I practice it. Same with music. There's always something to learn for me. I honestly, the more I learn, I feel like I'm a beginner again. But that's a good thing because I love learning music. And so I'll never be a complete guitar player or a finished Japanese learner or Spanish learner or piano player or any of that. Now, I'm not sure how to tell other people to get there or what they can do to confuse themselves or trick themselves into working hard. You know, that trend of videos, how I trick my brain and the blah, blah, blah. I don't really believe in that. I think it's just something that you decide to do. You either want to enjoy learning the process or you want to get to an end goal. And I typically think people who are focused on getting to an end goal will not really do that because they're not enjoying the process. I would also remove time from the equation. So for me, having a time-based goal is okay if I already trust myself. But if I don't completely trust myself with something, I like to remove time from the equation. For example, I learned basic Japanese very quick, probably quicker than most people on earth, and I'm not trying to flex, but I had a complete locked in listening and repeating phase for like 6 months straight, where I would do thousands and thousands of repetitions. And I genuinely think in 6 months, I had more progress than anyone else on earth. But my goal was not to do that in 6 months. It was a natural process. But because of that, as I'm learning Spanish, I am giving myself about 3 years to be fluent. Yes, I could do that way sooner, but I'm giving myself 3 years to be fluent because I've already shown myself that I can grind in a short amount of time and get a ton of results. And why I say 3 years is because after that 6 months, I think maybe a year and a half extra was when I reached the level that I would consider myself fluent, even though you guys know I don't like that word. Same with Spanish. I don't ever want to say I'm fluent in Spanish. I just want to say I'm learning and enjoying the process of knowing Spanish. But I'm giving myself 3 years to be at the point where I can just cut on the camera and speak Spanish about whatever, kind of like I do in Japanese, where I just make shorts or talk about it in videos, things like that. But again, this comes from proof, having proof that I've done the thing. Regarding perfectionism, I do have a video on perfectionism in general and why perfection is not real. I would highly recommend anyone watch that. But again, this answer is probably the same as the question before, where you really just enjoy the process. And as long as you know you'll never be perfect at anything, you just basically make a decision to know that you're not going to be perfect at anything, then those perfectionism ideas are going to disappear over time. So that's about it. If you have more that you want me to elaborate on, I don't mind doing that. It's quite easy for me to just cut on the camera and start yapping a bit. I will link at the end and in the description important videos that I think everyone should watch based on what I talked about today. Leave a like, as that's the best way to help me out. You can donate and subscribe to give me money if you want. I don't really care. I'm not going to e-beg you, but those links are in the description too. Subscribe if you haven't, or I will send this to come get you. Love you guys and see you in the next one. Peace.